What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, man. So if it's your first time here, my name is Hanny, and I help phone flippers optimize and scale their phone flipping business from 5K to 10K, eventually to 20K per month. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, man. Let's get into it. In today's video, I'm going to explain why I believe the best strategy in the phone business is wholesaling. It's being able to get your money in and out and be able to reinvest back into the business to make more money ultimately, right? So if you don't know what wholesaling means, it pretty much means that you buy inventory. Say, for example, you buy an iPhone 8, right, for $100, and you resell that to somebody else who's in the phone business, right? You sell it to him for about, say, 120, right? You just made $20 each. But the goal is to move volume. You want to do at least like 10, 20 phones at a volume pace, and that's how you can make money in wholesale. It's ultimately a volume number, and that's how companies like Walmart, Costco are making so much money, is because they're not selling 1 or 2, 5 products, they're selling hundreds of products, and they're making so much money off doing that. So let me break it down to you. So if you're gonna get started into the wholesaling business, your biggest obstacle is gonna be, number one, getting inventory, because a lot of people struggle with this, right? Especially if you're trying to move, in the beginning. I'd probably say if you're just getting started, of course, you can go retail right away, sell phones on Marketplace and Kijiji. But I believe the best way to get started is by being able to provide value for someone else that's in your community or phone shops. So how you're gonna get these phones, number one, is getting inventory. You're gonna run Facebook ads, right? You can attract Facebook ads. You can go out there, run a bunch of campaigns saying that, hey, you buy phones for cash, right? And what you wanna do too is when you're running Facebook ads, you wanna test split at least 4 campaigns so you can know which one is working. Another one that you could do as well that's free is Facebook advertising for free, right? If you're in Canada, you can use platforms like Kijiji. I know if you're in the States, you can use Craigslist to be able to advertise for phones, right? Another one that I really like is vendors. Vendors, these are people that, they're wholesalers essentially, these are business owners who have a lot of phones that can sell you. What I do now, I work with a lot of people in Montreal, in Quebec, right? In different places in Canada, right? To be able to get phones. And all it really takes is you got to go out there, right? And just search up, wholesalers in my city or people, wholesale business companies, and you'll be able to find them. At the end of the day, man, if you go out there, if you do the work, if you prospect enough, you're going to find one person. These people are on WhatsApp. They're on different Facebook groups on Facebook. You can find these people that sell you a lot of phones in volume. Because what you want to do is you want to get a bunch of phones so you can be able to become a distributor, right? So once you get inventory, once you get product, because without product, we can't make no money, right? So this is the goal. Once you get the inventory, what you're going to do here is now you're going to establish a buyer's list. So this is part 2. A buyer's list is simply saying that you want to go out there, connect with other people who are either resellers, who are either phone shops. Because here's the thing that I realized. The most money that I've ever made is from people who are also in the business. Because if you provide value to them, if you help them out, right? Because here's the thing. Someone that runs a physical location, like for example, my business, I run it right now, we're currently running out of an office. But when I first started, I was literally running it out of my apartment. Buying phones and distributing it, selling it to different people. Once you start making a good amount of capital, then you want to start investing into a little location. Right now, I'm just, making sure your expenses are pretty low. What you want to do is you want to provide value to phone shops and resellers, people who are in your community. And the best way to do that, you got to build a personal brand. Because if people know you for phones, they're going to keep coming back to you, right? So what I would want everybody to do is go out there, man. Tell people that, you're a wholesaler, you provide phones, just let everybody know on social media, on Facebook group, tell people, hey, you buy, if you want phones, message me, right? The more you start advertising about what it is that you do, about your story and how you got started into the business, people will start trusting you even more. So that's what you got to do. Build a buyer's list. Right now, I got about, 30 to 40 buyers lists, people that are in Winnipeg, people that are in Canada, people that are in the States, different parts of the world. Because it's very important. Because in business, it comes down to people, right? It's not about, having a bunch. If you have a bunch of product and you can't move them, then that's just only step 1. Your step 2 is figuring out, okay, once I get these products, how can I distribute this to more people, right? This is the end goal. And once you got a good buyers list, like I said, you can go out there, Facebook groups, WhatsApp, different people. You can even join my community, the Smart Flip, and be able to sort of figure out some people that are also looking to buy phones. That's another step as well too. Right? So once you connect with phone shops, right, now you're gonna be their go-to guy. Every single time you get some product, you wanna message them and tell them, hey, I have this coming in. I got these phones coming in. So you're always looking to add value to them, because I found out that the quickest way to make money in this business, being able to have people that you could just rely on right away, like, hey, I got this phone, I want to sell it to you. and then you can be able to sort of make your money right away, right? Number three, the reason why I believe this is the best exit strategy, it's cash flow. You see, a lot of people, what they do is they hold on to their phone. So they might be having hundreds of phones. For example, I talk to a lot of phone shops and people that are in the business. They always tell me, like I have $100,000 in inventory. And I say this is bad because, for example, they have so much overhead where you don't have to worry about nothing. Because if you don't got no location, their overhead is that they have expenses and they have a lot of inventory, right? The reason why this is a bad idea, you want to be able to have what I like to call velocity of money. Velocity of money essentially is, once you have, say for example, you got $200, right? This is all you're starting your business with. Literally, if you take $200, right? And you buy a phone for $200 and you make $300, literally what you're doing in that example is you could take that $100 profit, right? And reinvest that $100 profit into more phones. So now you got about $300. Now you can go buy an iPhone 12. You know what I'm saying? So every time you make money, you're sort of reinvesting back into the business. You're accumulating more money, right? Because when you hold on to your money and it's very stagnant, for example, if you got phones that you bought 5 weeks ago and you're still holding on to them, you're holding on to your inventory because your money is not moving fast. So the goal is you want to be able to turn around your money. You want to be able to get phones. For example, sometimes I'll even buy a phone for $200 and sell it for $220 because I know that making $20 now, it's a compound effect. If I could do that 3 times, right, that's $80. You know what I mean? So you got to keep doing it because here's the thing, right? Say, for example, you got about 10 phones, right? 10 phones at $200 each equals to $2,000, you know what I mean? In about couple, that could be in a month. But here's the thing. If you flip that times 2, that's 2 weeks in a row, you can make $3,200 in a month. If you're doing this as a side hustle, boom, now you just pretty much made extra money just pretty much by getting product and moving it to one person, right? So you're pretty much like a distributor. But you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to, build sustainable lists and also have a lot of phones so you can move more product. And this is where cash flow is very important. You want to be able to you want to reinvest back into your money. Every time you make $1, you want to put it back into the business so you can sustain. And also you want to look at your expenses, right? You want to look at how much you're spending each month so you can be able to ultimately, if your goal is just to do this as a side hustle, that's definitely possible. But if you want to get out of your 9-to-5 job, you got to look at your expense column. You got to look at how much money you're spending every single month in your rent and your groceries to see how you can be able to get out of the 9-to-5 job, right? Nothing wrong with working a 9-to-5, but always understand that if you want to get out of it, you got to know your numbers, right? You got to know your expenses. You got to 10x your expenses, right? So you got to double your expenses 3 to 6 months so you can be able to sort of get out of that, right? Which is why I believe if you're getting started, wholesaling is perfect because you're not really holding on to your money. Every time you buy a product, you want to be able to move it quick. So we're not focusing on holding on to our money. The reason why wholesaling works is because we're like the distributors of the market. We're like people who problem solve. We go out and we talk to a bunch of people, right? We're good at marketing. We're good at doing sales, right? And then once we transition that into building a relationship, everything connects. Now we didn't just pretty much build a business where people can just keep coming back to us. We could still work on the retail side of things, but understand that if you just focus on building a relationship, getting product, and you'll eventually find a lot of people that want to buy phones off you. And then people are going to hit you up consistently all the time looking to buy inventory off you. So this is why I believe wholesaling is the best exit strategy. And like I said, if you have less than, like I said, $200 to get started with, start off with an iPhone 8. Start off with phones that are very low. You can buy an iPhone 8, like I said, $70 to $100, right? And be able to flip your money. So never look at it like, you have to sort of, go out there. Of course, post on Facebook Marketplace, post on these free platforms. But understand that if you want to scale over time, you're going to have to do volume, right? And the only way you're going to do volume, you got to get a lot of inventory. You got to talk to a lot of people, right? If you're not making dials, if you're not talking to enough sellers, you're not going to get any deals, right? That's what it comes down to. A business one-on-one to you, right? If you're not out there, if you're not hungry on the marketplace, if you're not talking to sellers, if you're not going out there reaching out to your buyers list and telling them, hey, what you need, what kind of product do you need right now, it's going to be very hard for you to sustain your business. So number one, figure out your inventory. Number two, get you a buyers list, people that can buy phones off you consistently, right? Also, to build that personal brand so people know that, okay, you are the one for phones. And like how I do it a lot of time is I go out there, even if I'm buying phones from a regular end user, I'll go out there, I'll take a picture with the person, telling people, hey, we just bought this person's phone for cash, and let me know if you're looking to sell more phones, we'll buy it. So here what you're doing is you're building trust by having another person who's a customer, right, on the phone to telling people, hey, you just bought a phone off this person, and let me know. And what you could do as well too, target your VIPs. Your VIPs can be people. What I do is I go after real estate investors, mortgage specialists, right? People who have like restaurant businesses, right? These are people who can buy, people who are just looking to get rid of their phones because they either have another business or they're not really, like I said, they're not really, I like to call them, they're not really desperate for cash. They're just people who just want to sell their phones right away to you. So you can be able to, because they're also helping out a business. It's a business to business transaction, right? So go out there, man, understand your ICP, because if you don't know who your ICP is, your ideal client profile, it's going to be very tough for you to be able to get into wholesale, because wholesaling, you need people that can buy at least 50 to 100 phones daily, people who have cash right away to spend money with you, who also want to do business with you because they feel like they trust you, right? And once you build trust in your community, then people can start referring people to you. But the only way you're going to do that, you got to build that brand, because people, remember, people buy from people they trust. So if they like and trust you, they're going to come back to you. Like I said, I had this incident, for example. I had this one guy who was in my community in the Facebook group, right? I had someone else that wanted to buy phones from him, but because this person didn't have a personal brand, he wasn't putting himself out there. That person reached out to me. He said, Hanny, can you tell this person to pay me a deposit? I'll ship the phones to you, right? And once he gets the phones, and then I'll pay, and then he can pay me, right? So, and then here's the thing. I never done a transaction with this person. I never actually done any business. He was just in my group that I have a bunch of, resellers and phone flippers, right? Because he trusted me, because he sees my work every single day that I'm showing up on social media, telling people who I am and what is it that I represent, podcasts and sharing my stories. He would trust me way more than a person who was just a random person on social media. So that person was able to ship the product to me, and then that person came to my place. He was able to pick the phones up, and then he was able to get paid, right? So people like this, they have no trust. He was able to do that because of the power of personal brand and building and letting people know exactly what is it that you do, what is it that you offer. And remember, your storytelling has to be very important. Why you got into the business, how you got into the business, and why should people buy from you? Because at the end of the day, people would just buy the story. What makes you different in the marketplace? What is your value proposition? Because if you stand out in the marketplace, people see that you got confidence. You're talking the walk and you're walking the talk, people are going to want to trust you, right? So this is why I believe wholesaling is the best strategy for you to get into the phone flipping business. So if you found value in this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And also too, if you'd like me to help you get started into the phone flipping business, all you got to do, go to Instagram, direct message me the word coach, and I'll see if you're the right fit. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next video. I'm out.